Hey everyone, so this is the second part of the tutorial. The first part, if you watched it, I was showing you how I, did my planning and shooting on location, and this was shot at sunrise. Finally, I shot this at 2 seconds at f11 at 60mm at ISO 50, and didn't have time to do a long exposure because, the light was changing so quick. I really wanted to grab it before it's too late. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just warm up the image a bit and just do a bit of magenta here. I want it to be warmer, and I'm gonna do a bit of contrast. I'm gonna bring down my highlights. I'm gonna open up my shadows like so, and I'm gonna click Alt and I'm gonna drag on my whites till I get a few dots. And on the blacks, I don't want it, I'm just gonna pull back a bit on it like so. Alright, I'm happy with that. I'm gonna do a bit of vibrance, a bit of saturation, and I'm gonna take down my sharpening to 0 because I want to do it later in Photoshop. And if I zoom in onto here, you're gonna see I'm getting a lot of chromatic aberration. That happens sometimes, so one quick fix is you click this here and that will remove it. It's fixed. And one thing I realize, I'm gonna use the healing brush tool. I'm gonna select visualize spots, and if you click L twice, you're gonna get this image on black background, which makes it easy for me to find the spots. So I'm gonna just increase my size of the brush, the healing brush, and I'm just gonna come in here and clean it. Man, I really gotta clean my sensor. I mean, there's so many of these spots. But this is a really great tool. When I was visualize spots, it helps you find it in Lightroom. I love that option in Lightroom. I find it so important, because if you print an image and you have spots on it, it really sad. And if you're like ordering one for a client and you realize you gotta order another print, costs you more time and money, so you don't want that. So I'm gonna go back to L again. I'm gonna remove the visualize spots, and I'm just gonna remove these two branches that are sticking out of the water. I know you don't see it, but it kind of bugs me when it's sticking out. And I might just remove this part here. I mean, it's like a black thing, I don't know, probably it's just a rock or something under the ice. I mean, it was partly frozen, the lake, not all of it. Alright, so right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump into, I want to finish this image in Onone Effects, so I'm gonna open in Onone Effects 10. And I really like some of the filters they have. So they also have presets that you can use to kind of like recipes that you can use as a starting point, or you can use like individual filters. And they have a lot of options and I find them really good. So it's gonna make a new file and it's gonna import it into Onone. Alrighty, so here we are in Onone, and you have two options in Onone. You can sometimes use some of these recipes they have. If you go to landscape, for example, they have a bunch of, landscape pop cool, landscape pop green, golden hour enhancer. So I like the landscape pop cool. I'm gonna click that. And once you click that, you get here kind of like a mix of what they're doing, like they're applied 3 filters: dynamic contrast, color enhancer, and bleach bypass. So, and you can go between one and the other and see what it did, if you like their effect or not. And here I'm trying to see dynamic contrast, what it's doing before, after. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go in here. I don't like bleach bypass, what it's doing too much. I find it too insane, I can come down here with the opacity and bring it down, or I can just delete it completely and just, I think I'll just delete it and I'll just use these two. So dynamic contrast, I'm gonna reverse this. I don't want so much large detail. I find it affects, I just want to bring details in the small part, like the ice here on the lake with all the kind of fine particles, and some of the details in the trees and the snow. So I'm gonna just focus on the small and bring that up. You can see what it's kind of affecting. When I go extreme, you'll see I don't want to go that far, but I just want to show where it's being applied. It's not being applied much in the sky. It's mostly in the fine details. So if I want to increase the details in the trees and the stuff, I would do that. And medium, I like to keep it down to not too much. I mostly want to bring in details in the small little details here and there. Okay, color enhancer, I'm gonna come in here and maybe saturate the image more. Let's see what the vibrance does. Okay, that's nice. Alright, I'm gonna add one more filter. Now what you can do is you can use some of the recipes as a jumping start point, or you can go in the filters here and pick one. Now if I add a filter, and let's say HDR look, let's see what that does. And if I just go with the glow, you might like what that does, maybe not. Maybe I'll just go with a little bit of glow, just a tiny bit. And if you find that it added a bit of noise, sometimes that happens, I can come back here with the compression and alright, I like what the glow is doing. It's giving this image really nice. Okay, let's check before, after. Okay, I might just go down a bit on the glow. Check before, after. Okay, I like that. It's really nice. Okay, so I'm gonna add one more filter, and I might do I want to add a vignette here. I was looking for it, and when you add a vignette, one I like, you have them here on the side, but I like big softy, and I just find that pulls the image all together. Now this for me is a bit much, so I'm just come down to 50%, maybe even a bit less. Alright, let's check before, after. So it's not a crazy amount that I did, but it really took the image from really nice, like just these four things. If you can pretty much go around in these filters and pick what you like, but for me, this is some of the filters that I like. Alright, so I'm gonna click apply, and that's gonna take the image back into Lightroom. Okay, so now I'm back in Lightroom, and one thing I just realized that I think I forgot some spots here, so I'm gonna click the healing brush tool and I'm just gonna fix that right away. Alright, I think there was one more here. I'm just gonna do a quick check with the visualize spots to make sure I got everything. I don't know how I missed that, but it happens. Okay, one thing I'm gonna do before doing my final touches, I noticed my horizon line might be a bit slightly off, so I'm gonna click a point here with the angle tool and click here. Alright, that made it straight. Made my horizon line straight. Alright, so I'm gonna, for sharpening, I want to go into Photoshop, and I like to do my sharpening in Photoshop. I like the high pass filter. Okay, so right now I'm in Photoshop, and I'm gonna duplicate this layer, and I'm gonna go to filter, other, high pass, and I always do 3 pixels, so I click OK. It's gonna apply the filter. Alright, and I'm gonna change here the blend mode to soft light, and that will apply the sharpening on it. So if I zoom into 100%, and oops, 100%, and I just drag here, and if I do before, after, you can see where it's being applied. And if you find you went a bit too much on the sharpening, you can always come down here with the opacity and just do like 75%. I might just do that. Alright, so I'm gonna go back to fit screen, and I'm gonna save that again. It's gonna take it back into Lightroom. Alright, so now we're back in Lightroom. So first I'm gonna go back to the original file, and I'm gonna reset it. So this is what we started up with. Not really much color, but the color was there, and this is what he ended up with. Much different. Really nice landscape. Alrighty guys, so please, if you like my video, please subscribe to my channel or watch my other videos, especially the video with where I took this picture showing you a little bit about the idea and the process. Alright, thank you guys.